Real estate appraisals, the most boring and hated topic in all of real estate. Coming right up. What's up everyone, Andrew here with the Lake Team down in Houston, Texas. Welcome back to another video that we have for you today. It's probably gonna be the most boring video you've ever watched yet. It's about appraisals. It's the most hated topic in all of real estate. I hate appraisals, but whatever, it's a necessity. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button down below. Let's go ahead and move forward into today's topic about appraisals. All right, so what is an appraisal? All right, so an appraisal is basically it's a third-party guy that's gonna tell you what the property's worth essentially, right? But it's a necessity, it really is, based off of previous, the housing crisis of 07 and 08. A lot of restrictions got tightened up, so appraisals is just kind of a checks and balances, if you will. But essentially an appraiser is gonna come in, look at the same comps us realtors are gonna look at, and they're gonna determine whether the value of the property meets or exceeds your contract price. So let's say, for example, it's $300,000 at a contract price, and the appraiser's gonna have to come in and see if it's worth $300,000. They're gonna run their own comps, they're gonna run their own numbers, they have their own approaches on how they're gonna make it happen. But if they disagree with the price, then that's a whole different other topic. But if they disagree with the price, it comes down to $290, but your contract price is $300. You have the option to fight it, but at the end of the day, there's not a lot of chances that you're going to win that fight. But I know from just past and previous experiences, but whatever. At that point, let's say you're at 300, the appraisal comes back at 290. Now you have an option at that point. You're going to have to go back to the seller and seller's agent and say, hey, look, the property just didn't appraise. So at that point, it's kind of, what are you going to do? Are you going to back out of the deal? Are you going to negotiate with them, or do you want them to come down to 290? Are you and the seller going to negotiate the price difference? Maybe they come up with half, you come up with the other half. But just know that the lender will not lend on anything more, not a penny more than what that appraisal came back at. Just to show you where. So let's say you're putting down 5%, and then all your closing costs is covered, or you got to come up with more closing costs. If you agree on 295, now you have that extra 5K that you're going to come up with out of pocket. So just bear that in mind whenever you're negotiating. If you are going to negotiate the appraisal process, if it comes in low. Now, if it meets that contract price or exceeds contract price, that's fantastic. Your buyer's agent should never send that appraisal off, or actually they won't get the appraisal unless you send it to them. But you should never say, hey, it met this price or it's higher. That's for your knowledge only, for you and your agent to talk amongst yourselves about it. But at that point, you guys are good to go. So yeah, basically it's a middleman. Appraiser is the middleman that's going to tell you what the property's worth. Sometimes it's really annoying, but it's, like I said in the beginning, it's a necessity. It's something that has to be done for checks and balances of a system here. When I'm buying cars from a dealership, I wish somebody would come and tell me that that car's not worth $80,000, right? So I don't get screwed over, but whatever. It is what it is. That's just the nature of the game. It's an essential thing that you have to have as an appraisal done. You're going it's something that you're going to need anyways. It's a lender's requirement, and it really is, really and truly, it's there to protect you anyways. All right, so who pays for the appraisal? You do. Short answer is you pay for the appraisal. Once you get further along in the buying process, you're past your option period. Like I said earlier, or in one of my other videos, once you get past that option period, then you have your appraisal. The appraisal cost, it just kind of really depends on the nature of the property, how unique it is, but you could pay anywhere from $300 to $500 for it. Probably on the lower side, maybe $300 is what you'll end up paying for an appraisal. So who does it? You don't do it. Your buyer's agent doesn't do it. Your lender doesn't do it. Now what happens is your lender hires a company to do these appraisals. The actual lender that you're working with has no knowledge of who's going to go out. All that happens on the backside of things is I want to say maybe it's like a round robin kind of deal. They hire a company and they say, hey, I need appraisal done. That company then hires whatever appraisal that they have on staff, and they're going to go out there and they are going to perform the appraisal and get you back a value of what they think it's worth. That's who does it. It's an arm's length away, so nobody really knows who the guy is or who the girl is who's going to do the appraisal. So there's really no trying to sweeten up the deal for them, bringing them cookies or anything like that. You just never know who's going to be out there. All right, when does it get done? I talked about it a second ago, but it does get done towards the end of the transaction. Maybe once the lender's order, they put a timeline on it, so it could be like 10 to 14 days in return policy, or not return policy, but a return or a deadline, if you will. It does get done towards the end. Let's say you're under contract and you got a 7-day option. It all depends on when the lender orders the appraisal, but you're probably looking maybe week 3, if not sooner, is when you're going to get that appraisal back. Okay, so another question that we get all the time is, do you have to get an appraisal? Well, if you are financing a house, 100%, absolutely, it's a must that you have to get the appraisal. The lender, you're not going to be able to get approved for a loan if you don't have the appraisal. So 100%, you have to have an appraisal if you are financing a house. Now, if you are paying cash for the house, you don't have to have an appraisal. That's entirely up to you. You can overpay as much as you possibly want. It doesn't really matter because you're paying cash for the house and quick sell, so no one really cares at this point. If you wanted to have an appraisal, if you are paying cash for a house and you wanted to get it appraised just to make sure you are not overpaying for the property, by all means, do one. Just understand there's no lender involved, so now you're gonna have to hit up an appraiser, give them a shout, and tell them what you want or what you need, and they'll go from there. So what if it comes in low? We did talk about that a second ago. If it does come in low at that point, you as a buyer, you could possibly back out. You could renegotiate with the seller. I mean, this is all depending on what the contract states, so none of this is definite, but depending on what the contract states of when you guys signed, just really all depends, right? There are addendums out there that say that you're gonna waive the appraisal contingency and all that stuff, but just for basic understanding, if it does come in low and none of that special addendums involved, there, you could renegotiate with the seller. The seller can come down with the price of what it appraised at. There's a few different options out there, but again, it's all contract specific. So at this point, if it does come in low, it's best you and your agent, or if you're hiring us, whatever, you guys sit down and you guys talk about it, what the best action is moving forward. How do appraisals determine value? They look at the same comps we do. I mean, sometimes we do try to provide comps to appraisers. Maybe it's a tougher neighborhood to find some, so we try to show them maybe how we get involved or how we came up with the price that we did, and then it's up to the appraiser at that point to either take that into consideration, or they're going to do their own and completely disregard our comps. But nonetheless, we do our best to try to produce comps as a seller's agent. So they do come up with the comps of their own. They look at the same comps we do. They look at recent sales, how active is the community. They take all those things into consideration. So they're looking at all the same stuff we do, how they determine value, and if there's any kind of discrepancies, that's when you're going to start getting into fighting the appraisal if it comes back low or whatnot. But typically, they are going to look at the same stuff we do. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. Hope you enjoyed the most boring and annoying topic in all of real estate, which is appraisals. All jokes aside, it is a necessity to have. So if you have any questions, reach out to us for our website, or I'll leave, if you're watching this on YouTube, I will leave the link in the description below so you can contact us directly from there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you want a video, or if you have a topic of your choosing that you would like us to make a video about, let me know. I'll be happy to make one for you guys. And like I said, smash that subscribe button down below so you'll be the first to notified of videos that we release each and every week. Like I said, we do our absolute best to produce the best real estate content to you guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you'll be able to be the first to be notified of it. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today. I'm Andrew with the Lake Team here in Houston, Texas. I'll see you next time.